What's something guys flex, feeling it makes them appear masculine, but in reality it has an opposite effect? Story 1. I recall a line in Goatee, any man that has to say, I am the king is no true king. Generally, flexing anything to appear as more masculine has the opposite effect. Story 2. Had a guy flex that he worked as an HVAC on roofs and decided he didn't need any water on the 2 hottest days of the year last year, and then ended up in the hospital. Then he tried to flex not sleeping, and I'm just sitting there like, of all the things to flex on, you chose those two, and you are fully aware I'm a nurse. What? Story 3. Not sure if it's a flex, but guys that boldly say they don't change their baby's diapers. Specifically, if it's a poopy diaper. These are the same guys that brag they'd die for their family, but they'll let an infant sit in all day until their wife changes the diaper for them. There's nothing masculine about being afraid to help your own child. Story 4. Bragging, usually lying and making up stories about how they have so much money, women, power, how strong they are. No, I do not want to hear about how you can get any woman you want and beat up any man if they look at you funny. You're not cool? You're an insecure moron. Story 5. Aggression repulses me. Even the small things like puffing their chest out or shouting at someone who bumped into them accidentally. Huge ick. And sometimes it feels like a lot of men do it intentionally because they have a female audience. Story 6. I am a man. So, take it for what it's worth. There seems to be a trend in my area of guys who own large white pickup trucks who act like 12-year-olds and think they are the masters of the universe. I know it's not just me because I have joked about this with many local people, and they all seem to have the same experiences. What is it with bags and the affinity for large white pickup trucks? Story 7. Talking about how easily they could someone up to show us you're a protector. All it telegraphs is that you 1. Probably can't, and 2. Are the kind of who will unnecessarily escalate situations. A protector carries themselves in such a way as to never make talking it necessary, and is also intelligent enough to get us out of the situation before violence becomes necessary. Story 8. Acknowledging their own body count as if it's a badge of honor. I'm a man. Makes no difference if you slept with 100 women. You just look like and with no respect for who gave you their time. Story 9. Refusing to do anything that they think is girly or gay makes a guy look insecure and weak, and so much less masculine than if they just did the thing. Things that make a dude look good: rocking the pink shirt, letting a niece daughter paint your nails, liking cats, cooking, cleaning, doing laundry like it's no big deal, decorating a living space like an adult, unapologetically liking girl music or movies too, buying tampons for GF or sister, holding a purse when asked, being involved in daughter's activities as well as sons. Story 10. When a guy goes like, I've never lost a fight and I'll mess this guy up, etc. If I get violent or aggressive tendencies, that's an ick. A real man is the strong hand and the still blade. The man who keeps his sword in the sheath, unless absolutely necessary to defend the people he loves and the things he cares about. Like a father. That's the man I like. Story 11. Lifted diesel truck that rolls coal, stacks in the bed, and tow mirrors out when not towing. Voting Trump. Sorry, I just mentioned the same person twice. Story 12. Not doing things they perceive as feminine, such as only drinking beer, not cocktails or anything gay. When I worked in a bar, the amount of times men would ask for a different glass to drink out of was so embarrassing, lol. Story 13. Trucks that you need to jump to get into that are good for nothing but plowing into smaller cars, animals, and children. My uncle had a literal extending stepladder installed on his truck that he might take to Walmart once or twice a week. It's embarrassing. Story 14. Any comments about how they could or would do anything to women? Like anyone's interested in creepy or they're doing you a big favor. If they can't rent a room, then the most certainly won't take a hint. LOL. Story 15. Honestly, most trad men, they act like they're so strong and tough, but really, they just love the power of having a woman that they can exploit and control. They think they're the center of the universe and we're just there to serve them. I could never be with a man who didn't view me as an equal. Story 16. Being noticeably affected by the macho toxic masculinity, any of the manosphere cultures. Though that doesn't make them seem feminine, per se. Just repelling, lol. Story 17. Oftentimes, men have this false belief that they have authority over women and can order us around. Some guy in one of my athletics classes took me to task for speaking to him as a peer, and even tried to demonstrate the deference he expected from me, complete with insipid giggles. Needless to say, I didn't change anything, and thought he looked ridiculous. It's happened plenty of times at church events that some dad alone with his kid will try to make me babysit his child just for a minute. Then they get when I decline and start walking away like I somehow owed them something. Women are not the automatic subordinates of men, and any attempt to treat me as such will meet with non-compliance and a quick escape. Story 18. Kind of the opposite. But one of the sexiest things about my husband is that he's quietly calm and confident. Like this man is unshakable. He's never jealous. He's never boastful or aggressive. It's honestly so hot. So I suppose to answer your question, boastful, aggressive, jealous men reek of low self-esteem, low confidence, And it's not only a huge red flag, it's gigantic turnoff. Nothing will make me outright laugh and think of a guy as a poor little man than those traits. Story 19. Being wildly overprotective of your daughters. If you're telling everyone how upset you are that your 3-year-old is running around playing with another 3-year-old boy on the playground, you look like an. It's not macho. It's not good parenting. It's just weird. Story 20. Not being kind to animals. Men who are obsessed with having an obedient dog or hit pets should ring major alarm bells. Also, men who say they hate cats are a big red flag because cats are culturally associated with independence and femininity. Story 21. I'm a dude, but I'll still opine when dudes talk about how other guys are afraid of them or how they have to hide their demons like, give me a break, Kyle. You play Call of Duty 18 hours per day. Story 22. The fake deep bro voice they put on to sound tough. Even worse when combined with starting every sentence with bruh. Nothing screams insecure louder than this. Story 23. Bragging about how they don't do womanly things like cooking and cleaning. Oh, so you're helpless? Helpless little puppy can't make himself a sandwich? Pathetic baby too weak to lift a broom? Very sad. I'm in the market for a partner, not a child. Story 24. Loud cars? Or thinking hunting makes them masculine. Like cool you kill animals for fun then mount them on your wall? Not masculine, just gross and disrespectful towards nature and the miracle of life. Story 25. I'm a man, but still gonna answer here. One thing is flexing about being a hunter and mocking their prey animals. I have high respect for hunters who respect their prey and are nature lovers. But those idiots who hunt just for a thrill of killing and don't have respect are total garbage. I've also heard junkies flex about beating someone up or stealing from other people, even from their own family members. No matter if you're a junkie or not, you're pathetic. Also making fun of people about their race, poverty, illness, disability, or other things, and thinking you're better human than people who have it worse than you. These are 3 things that came up to my mind, and these things apply to other genders too, not just men. Story 26. Car posing, speeding, revving engine, recklessness, sudden stops and accelerations. It just screams I'm desperately low status and worried about it. Also muscle posing. I don't mind looking at the abs and arms, but I do in fact now know you have low self-esteem about your appearance. Same with gun posing, and I just killed this animal pictures. It says I have no power in my world, and I yearn for respect I'll never get. Same way the expensive midlife crisis car says, I'm having a midlife crisis and my whiner doesn't work as well as it used to. Story 27. Expressing willingness to commit violence for what they deem a noble cause. No, your eager, self-indulgent fantasies of doing grave bodily harm to another hypothetical human being don't actually make me feel safe and protected, sir. Even if that hypothetical person was a rapist. The glee with which you describe what you would do just frightens me. Story 28. Purposely very loud cars. Or motorcycles, where you alter the exhaust or whatever, so it's insanely loud when you drive past, disturbing the whole neighborhood. I guess maybe some girls are into that, but it's an immediate dry for me. Huge ick, like I am so embarrassed for you hunting animals for sport, especially exotic animals. Story 29. Not going to the doctor. Some men with beards when they don't pull it off. Not handling criticism well. Thinking they look masculine when they try and prove the critique wrong when a truly confident person would just absorb what's being said and not take it personally. Story 30. Constantly flaunting wealth or cars or muscles, just anything superficial. Then they complain they only attract shallow girls. Like, brother, no good woman is going to be interested in her shallow. Story 31. Being MAGA. I genuinely think 50 of young men who are MAGA are just on the bandwagon. I get that can be true for the opposite, but to me it comes across as someone without their own thoughts. Story 32. Men talking trash about women, especially saying stupid Andrew Tate, like they hit the wall at 30. Any man who says that should have his mom, grandma, sister, aunts, and other female relatives smack the sense into him. To say a woman has no value because of disability, age, body count, and on is the most misogynistic ever. Who is a man to tell a woman how she is valued to her family, her friends, her community? Other men who aren't insecure? Othering people, making them the other is dangerous as it sets people up to be dehumanized. I know this is a shock to men, but most women don't wake up needing a daily newsflash from an incel or Tate follower on what they think we women are worth. And since women have their own careers, money, homes, cars, credit scores, and credit cards, the male gaze is obsolete. We decide our own value. And good men are not these going around spewing hateful. Good men honor their own female family members and the other women who all are a member of someone else's family as well. The male gaze doesn't decide how I dress, what I do, or how I live, like most women, and these crazy hateful men who think so need to touch a whole yard of grass. Story 33. Black men boasting that they exclusively date outside their race and never date black women. Guess what? Whoever wants them can have them because we don't. Self-hating, immature, and colorist man boys? Yeah, we're totally fine without them. Story 34. The amount of people in here saying cars or trucks is insane to me. A lot of us guys as kids had dreams of owning these cars and trucks. And when we are old enough to finally afford them, you all look down on it like we just bought it to show off to you? Please, most of us don't have a care in the world what you think about it. So much arrogance in here, lol. Like a guy that has a hobby, am I right? Story 35. Ooh, I have a few. Muscles. Showing off strength by picking up heavy things or just flexing. Revving up a car's engine showing off a car. Refusing to ask for any help, directions, carrying things, etc. White knighting overly courteous to women for the sake of masculinity. Story 36. Lifted pickups. A hanging from a trailer hitch, a red MAGA hat, using red pill, blue pill, black pill incel vocabulary, being polyamorous, a swinger, serial cheating, talking about situationships FWB, cowboy boots, every day unless you work on a literal ranch. Story 37. 99 of this seems to come down to being a basic human, instead of a grade A, either being a pickup artist or body count in general. If the best you have to impress me is precedent, I'm not impressed. Story 38. Holding in things that are bothering them, because it's not manly, not learning from shortcomings of their parents to do better with their own children, not going to the doctor, dentist, etc. for regular care, not cooking or cleaning or doing their laundry. Story 39. Pavement princess trucks. Whenever see a little 1980s Toyota loaded with tools and ladders and mowers, I always make a little, oh, look at that work truck. That's a man's truck right there. That thing puts in work, don't it? That ain't no pavement princess. But whenever I see that someone put money into their people, killer pavement princess hood as high as your head is more likely to kill you at much slower speeds, I fawn over the cute little pavement princess. I bet this sweet little thing wouldn't even know what a calloused hand feels like. Story 40. Not having emotions. All that means to me is they only are willing to showcase anger. There is a whole range of emotions that are part of the human experience. For some reason, men seem to think fine and big mad are the only ones worth it. It is not a flex. Story 41. Speaking as a guy. When other dudes wear sunglasses pretty much non-stop, indoors, outdoors, in every single picture they're in, etc. I'm not talking about peeps with light sensitivity or who need prescription lenses to function. I'm talking about the dudes who pretty much make sunglasses and never smiling their personality because they think it makes them look hard. Brothers, I say this with kindness. All that communicates to me is that you are terrified of being looked in the eye. This does not intimidate me. It just makes me want to give you a hug and tell you it's going to be okay. It has never come across as anything other than this person is really shy and nervous and truly that's okay. Like no shame in that whatsoever. But if the goal is to look intimidating, it is not doing what you think it does. Story 42. I'm 6 FTSWire buff, and I make 6 figures. I'm a high-value man. By whose metric, bub? I'd rather have a tubby craftsman. She'd rather have a scrawny librarian, and they'd rather be with a short teacher. Puffing your chest out only to show the one dimension you have is kinda sad. Story 43. Not taking care of your skin. Moisturizer, sunscreen, washing, exfoliating daily as needed. Saying, I don't read. Not I can't, not having problems with reading. Just pure unwillingness to read, listen to books, articles, anything. Being willfully ignorant. Refusing to be seen as soft, vulnerable, emotional. For example, not holding hands, refusing to kiss or hug, ignoring their girl in favor of being with the bros or being seen as tough, hiding forcing down away emotions even when they'd be expected and accepted, crying at a funeral, jumping at a haunted house, being excited to pet a puppy, being overly into sports. You can list off an eerie number of stats for no reason whatsoever. Did you get upset and scream at a bunch of guys playing a game on your TV? Guys who don't know you exist, don't care about what you think, who make millions of dollars off you. Did you really ask that girl wearing your team shirt who completed that big pass in 1973, expect her to also know all the players on the bench? I'm sure I'll get ripped to shreds by dudes on this. But I hope everyone sees this is written in good faith. You will be so much more appealing and masculine if you're willing to learn, to teach, to be open. Story 44. Honking or playing loud music in your car while driving past a woman, or turning up the motor. Really, nothing makes Kai femininity shrivel away faster. Story 45. Extensive hours at the gym, bodybuilding, and all that. If a man is investing that much time into his body and his appearance, it just feels super vain, and I feel like vanity is traditionally associated with women. Story 46. Not a woman. But lately, if a guy even mentions Joe Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, or any of those anti-woke douchebags, I just immediately stop listening. It's tied with chewing with your mouth open for least attractive thing a dude can do. Story 47. Homophobia. And I'm not even talking extreme homophobia, but mild kinds too, like looking away if two dudes kiss on a TV show. I was watching a movie with a guy several years ago and he kept doing that and it was such a turnoff. Perhaps he was genuinely disgusted, or perhaps it was meant to protect or project his manliness, but it was so childish I saw him as a boy instead of a man from then on. Story 48. Acting like they don't care about anything. Thinking being cold, emotionless, or above it all makes them strong, when really, it just screams insecurity and zero emotional maturity. Story 49. Buying expensive watches. I used to work selling watches, and so many dudes would come in and flirt and show off other watches they bought and then spend a lot to buy more, some that were almost unreadable. I can't count how many dudes would pull their phones out to show me their watch collections and then ask for my number. Like, dude, our stores talk. I know the game. You're gonna return most of these anyways. Story 50. Any bloke calling himself an alpha makes me cringe in the worst way. It's never going to impress a woman. The only time the term alpha male is acceptable is when reading or talking about the Omegaverse. Story 51. My rule of thumb. You're only as tough as the things that weaken you. If your masculinity is threatened by cooking, washing your own body, using an umbrella, or other things, your masculinity is weaker than all of them. Story 52. Bottling up their feelings. Some men are proud of never revealing how they feel, showing any sadness, let alone crying. They think it makes them appear strong, when to me it looks like they are too weak to even handle thinking about something difficult, sad, or vulnerable. Story 53. Dudes bragging about their wealth. People who do this tend to make it their entire personality and look down on people who have to do without, and they make money their entire personality. A former coworker of mine tried to get in the pants of the female coworkers by bragging about how much money he made, flipping cars, TVs, etc., and how he was going to flip houses, then trying to get us to go home with him to see his success. I'm like, dude, you are a customer service phone jockey. You're not the next Warren Buffett or whatever. I left that job for greener pastures. Months later, I read in the news that he had shot his wife and toddler to death when they were all at home. He tried to claim his gun went off while he was cleaning it. His wife was doing chores in the kitchen, and his toddler was sleeping in bed at the other side of their apartment. Dude was a massive in so many ways. Edit added stuff for clarity. Story 54. Late here, but that thing men do when you're walking outside and they rev their cars super loud and speed past. Gives off hoo-ha me man unga bunga vibes. Story 55. Anything men flex to dim any feminine traits in them. Feminine traits are hot in a man. Any man who's comfortable in his skin and doesn't have to go out of his way to avoid things shows that he is so comfortable in his body and his skin and his personality, and that's so attractive. Side note, grooming yourself and having proper hygiene is not a feminine trait. Hygiene is neither feminine nor masculine. It's literally just hygiene. Take care of your body. Story 56. Any bloke announcing he's an alpha male mansplaining what alpha means while manspreading his legs across 3 seats. Has just a big with a little nub. Story 57. When some guys try to play it super cool instead of just being straightforward about liking you, they think that by hiding their feelings or acting indifferent, they'll seem more masculine or confident. But honestly, it usually just comes across as confusing or cowardly. A real man isn't afraid to tell you he likes you. That kind of honesty and courage? It's to me so masculine and attractive. Story 58. Belittling others because it makes them look tough or alpha. It does the exact opposite. Makes them look like and is a huge red flag for more destructive behavior. Best to leave these ones alone and out to pasture. Story 59. As a guy who failed 3 relationships and learned a lot from them, here's the main thing I learned. Trying to tough it out whenever you are having a bad time in order to appear strong and tough, when in reality you just come across as frustrated and unwilling. Story 60. Went on a first date where all he talked about was important people he knew and business connections he had. Felt like he was trying to convince me that he had some high social standing without anything about who he actually was. I don't care about who you know. I want to get to know you. Story 61. An actual flex-adjacent posture. Some men, usually younger ones, confuse broad-looking shoulders with shoulders being raised up, when actually all you have to do is have a healthy straight back, with your shoulders pulled back and down in a natural, unforced way, of course. It's very obvious when they walk with their shoulders raised up in the most unnatural way, thinking they look muscular or something. Story 62. I used to work with one old guy that bragged about the fact that he never learned how to cook because he married early. Felt really bad for his wife, but Story 63. There's this guy who does travel videos where he tries different foods. He said many times that he's allergic to shellfish while eating shellfish and claims he's just too strong and manly to be affected by his allergy. So, dude either lied about it or has almost no reaction. I hope no one gets the dumb idea that they can ignore their allergy if they're strong. Story 64. My ex fell into gym, an alpha male culture, and brags about how muscular he is. Said if Hooters hired males, he would apply because he has the for it eye roll and constantly tries to seem confident, but he just comes off as a douchebag. Real confidence is usually quiet. Story 65. Bragging about how long it's been since they cried. Like, no, Brad. It's actually weird that you haven't cried since 7th grade. Are you okay? Do you need a hug? Story 66. Telling me how much their clothes cost. A guy approached me saying my shirt cost $700 and got mad when I said that doesn't sound like a sound financial decision. Story 67. Feeling threatened by anything they deem not manly enough for them, like being afraid to eat a banana in front of other dudes. Real manly of you to fear eating a piece of fruit there. Story 68 pics. Nobody wants to see that. Big pickup trucks. It's annoying AF and tells everyone you have a small penis. Calm down, cowboy. We know you financed that thing at 7 APR and are bleeding out your rectum paying for it.